Right, hello everybody. Welcome to webinar on German cheese. I'm Matthew Luke from the Academy of Cheese. I'm joining you from Plymouth in the southwest, England. I don't really know much about German cheese, shamefully, but luckily I have someone here who does, my co-host, Hero Hirsh. Hello, Hero.
Hello. Hiya. I'm coming here from a cheese conveyor belt restaurant in the center of Berlin.
So you've been working in Berlin for a little while now, managing Pick and Cheese Berlin, the new site. But can you tell us a bit about yourself, your cheese background, your cheese history?
Sure. So I've been working in cheese for, I think, about 17 years now. So going back to 2008, 2009, when I joined Paxton and Whitfield, which is a British cheesemonger, the oldest in the UK. I worked with cheese and ran cheese shops there for 15 years. And then about 18 months ago, I joined the cheese bar / Pick and Cheese. They have several restaurants in the UK. So there are 4 restaurants in the UK, which are all focused on British cheese. 2 of those restaurants are the concept of Pick and Cheese, which is a cheese conveyor belt. So I was running the one of the sites in Covent Garden for a year, and then 6 months ago moved over to Berlin to help them open up the new cheese conveyor belt in Berlin.
Cool. That's quite exciting, I
Very
imagine.
Exciting. Yeah.
So why Berlin? I feel like London, it was quite well established and quite popular. I've been there a couple of times myself. But yeah, so why Berlin?
So as you visited Pick and Cheese in Seven Dials, you'll be aware that we are located in a food hall, which is run by Curb Enterprises, which is a social enterprise that gives street food businesses bricks and mortar opportunities. Curb, the food hall, we're opening in Berlin, and so it wouldn't be a Curb food hall without a cheese conveyor belt restaurant, was the view. So we came over off the back of that project. Was one of the reasons that we came to Berlin. Another one being that I think everyone in the team loves being in Berlin, but also something, I guess, at the heart of this project. The cheese bar have spent 10, 11 years celebrating British cheese in British restaurants, and wanted the opportunity really to discover German cheese and the opportunity to celebrate German cheese in this new project. So that's what we that was our intention.
And so has that been your job to source the German cheese of which to champion?
It's an absolutely dreamy project, isn't it? When someone says, can you please find the 25 best cheeses made in Germany, and then find a way to get them on a conveyor belt. So definitely finding the cheese was a really dreamy project for me. Getting the cheese to a conveyor belt, a little bit more complicated at times.
So, how did you, where do you begin? Like, so did you have much knowledge of German cheese before? If I was to be tasked with that, I wouldn't know where to begin. So what was your process?
I'm discovering this so often, is that people really don't know a great deal about German cheese in the UK. I would probably say outside of British cheese, German cheese I had a little bit of knowledge of, having visited Cheese Berlin, which is the slow food cheese festival, which we'll be talking about a bit more later. And meeting Karina, who's one of the organizers. So actually, I've spent a few years visiting that festival and kind of trying German cheeses. But the first thing I did when I got this project was I called Karina. She's a super expert, and I can't wait for you to kind of meet her a little later in the webinar. Then as a team, came over to Cheese Berlin to really start kind of establishing contact with those producers, tasting as much as we can and really kind of learning as much as we could about German cheese, because there's not a great deal of it in the UK. There are very few people exporting really great German cheese to the UK. So we knew that we had to come here and really kind of get to grips with that.
Why? So that was something that I found when researching some German cheese. I wanted to go out and eat some in the UK, and I found it lacking. Um, do you have any advice for anyone? Oh, sorry, before you answer that, can I just ask people in the audience to say where you're joining us from in the world? It'd be good to know if you're in the UK, if you're in Germany, or even further afield. Someone from Belfast. Okay. Yeah, so apologies if I'm skewing it slightly toward the UK right now. From India, from Berlin, from USA. Okay. Well, Hero, where do we buy German cheese?
Right. So there are Germany is the short answer. There are some issues certainly at the moment in terms of the export of German raw milk cheese that can't cross borders in a similar but yeah. So at the moment, I'd say that your options in the UK are fairly limited, but not totally. But yeah, I haven't looked for German cheese in the UK recently, so I'd struggle to answer that, I guess.
No, fair enough. Well, we come to Berlin to pick and choose.
Yes, okay. It's really exciting here. So we have 25 of the best cheeses made in Germany today, all on a conveyor belt, and it's the similar concept to what we have in the Copenhagen restaurant, in the two London restaurants, I should say, because we recently converted Camden to a conveyor belt as well. So each cheese comes in a small portion. I have an example here. It's one of the cheeses that Hilo makes. So it's a small portion, and each one has a unique food pairing with it. So sometimes the food pairing would be like a little bit of chutney or a jam, or sometimes something a little bit more unexpected, like a bit of Turkish delight or a chocolate brownie. And in terms of how the German offering correlates to what we do in the UK, there are a few sort of like pick classics, I guess, where we were looking for very specific cheese types in order to put them with the pairings that are really successful in the London restaurants.
Yeah.
But then with the rest of the pairings and the cheeses, we were really being very much led by the cheese, but also by the location. So we wanted to bring in a lot more, I guess, more of a German accent with the pairing. So we have like potato salad and sauerkraut and just things that are a lot more kind of German.
Yeah, sounds it sounds delicious. How have you found, having worked in the British cheese industry and sourcing British cheeses, how have you found the differences between the two countries? Is there much of a difference?
Yes, there is. I'd say in the British cheese industry, we're pretty there's quite a domestic focus actually in a lot of cheese shops. Whereas here, I would say the focus in a lot of the shops tends to be a little bit more on the French and Italian cheeses. Maybe there's like less celebration of domestic products here, or less kind of grouping, I guess. It's harder to find, you know, a lot of German cheese in one place. But there is a lot of it being made. It's just a little bit harder to find. Yeah, so definitely like less celebrated for now. But I guess that's why it was such an intriguing and exciting project for us, is the opportunity for a British company to come into a country and, you know, quietly celebrate that country's cheese.
Yeah, and to uncover and to uncover like what is available, and to really champion what's there and highlight and to spread the word.
Exactly. And I guess the other thing which I thought was quite which I hadn't really expected necessarily when I started this project was just the focus that there is here on organic production and biodynamic production. So a huge amount of the cheese on the menu is either organic or biodynamic, both. And comparing that to British cheese, where that conversation is much less, I suppose, even at the cheese counter. And that's, I think, like, there are organic supermarkets everywhere here, and I mean, you'd struggle to name more than like 1 or 2 organic supermarkets in the UK. Like, it's a much more of a focus here, and I guess that provides a bit more opportunity for cheesemakers who are looking to get organic certification or biodynamic. So that was quite an interesting, a different change to British as well.
Can you speak to how German cheese is maybe sort of how it's grouped? Like, is there a particular so France is very regional. British cheese is quite is also quite regional, but quite historic. You know, we have the territorials, and yeah, in France we have like the Loire Valley, and like we have the Alps. And is there a particular way that you could group German cheeses?
Gosh, I'm not sure if I could.
Maybe I'll save that for Karina when she comes on.
Perhaps. I mean, certainly there's regions of Germany where there is much greater production than others. So in Germany, in the south of Germany, there are Alps, and so Bergkäse sort of in the south, in the Allgäu, there's a lot of cheese being made there, and it's sort of Alpine-style. But beyond that, I think maybe one of the other guests this evening would be better placed to answer that.
Well, speaking of that, so we do have several people with us today, a couple of cheesemakers. And Karina, who's involved with the Cheese Berlin Festival. Shall we introduce our first guest, who is Stefan Hero, if you'd like to.
Yes, so
Stefan, if you could unmute yourself.
Hi to everyone. I'm Stefan Rüffel. I'm from the southern part of Germany, and we are a biodynamic farm with 55 cows, and we make a whole bunch of cheeses. Main product is like the Alpine-style mountain cheese, and several varieties of this. And also we make extra hard cheese and also a bunch of other cheeses. And the special thing about us is that we are a farm, and we make the cheese on our farm. So it's I don't know the exact English term for it, but like, it's not, the cheese is not in another place, but the cheesery is directly on the farm.
And Stefan, do you want to, so you mentioned the location of the dairy. Do you want to talk, because I understand that there's actually quite a few, like a community of businesses within Heggelbach. Can you speak to that at all?
Yes, I can. Heggelbach was founded 39 years ago from 3 families, and at the moment we are 6 families, and we run together a biodynamic farm with as a heart, it's the cows and making the milk, but we also have vegetables and grain and all the things. And we try to get the value onto the farm. So we make cheese, and we also sell not big amounts of vegetables, but we pack it for the groceries and things like that. So we can live with 6 families on a pretty small farm, only about 180 hectares to get all together here. And we live in one community that all 6 families live onto one one company.
And so each one of those families would have like a different responsibility within the community. Is that
Yes,
correct?
it is. Yeah, like my wife and I, we are responsible for the cheesery, and another family is responsible for the cows, another family for the vegetables, and another family for grain. And we also have holiday flats and things like that. So
And you
everyone
said
has
that
its
the
responsibility, but we are one company.
And you said that that's been established for 39 years. Have you been there all that time, or
No,
did you join more recently?
Actually, my family, like my wife and I, we know Heggelbach since 20 years because a friend of ours started to be here 20 years ago, and we are here now 10 years, exactly 10 years. But the youngest family who runs the cows, they are only here for 5 years. These are our youngest partners.
And the cheese that that Heggelbach have in the Academy of Cheese library is the Heggelbach with Alpine-style. So can you just explain who are Alpine-style and why you would collaborate with them?
Alpine-style is a cheesemonger in Markthallenneun in Berlin, Matthias, and about 5 years ago he was looking for a crazy cheesemaker who wants to make a new cheese with him, and he used like our, how do you say, I don't know, Verband, our we have a community of all cheesemakers small cheesemakers in all Germany, where Thilo is also in it. And he asked there which cheesemaker wants to try to make this new cheese with me. And actually then I said, why not? And he came to southern Germany and we tried to make this cheese. He had his ideas how it should be sensory and it should be raw milk cheese. And then we tried and we found it successful. And now we make this cheese. And it's called Heggelbach Alte Milch.
And you mentioned that it's raw milk. And is it also, what else makes this cheese special?
This cheese is special because it's getting very fast flavor. In only 9 months, it gets a lot of flavor. And for me, it was a very different kind of production because I'm used to the Alpine cheese productions, and this got an influence actually from Great Britain. And it's a person from Great Britain who helped us, and it's a totally different production, and it's a totally different cheese. And so it's very interesting for me.
Yeah, okay. So it's sort of a Swiss-British hybrid
collaboration
style. Is that
yes.
what we're saying?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Okay. And tell me briefly about the other cheeses that you're making at Heggelbach, other than the Heggelbach Ultimate.
The other cheeses is we make another mountain cheese, and it's a really traditional, like in the Swiss Alps cheese. This is also my origin. I'm Swiss, and I went before Heggelbach. I went a lot of years in Swiss Alps, milk Alpine cheese, and one of our main products is an Alpine cheese, which is in the background from me. And another cheese, which is also a Peking cheese, is extra hard cheese, kind of like a Parmesan, but it's not a Parmesan because it's a full fat cheese. So we got the whole milk in it. We have it for 15 to 24 months. And because of the whole fat, it's much more fruity and like sensory of caramel and things like that than in comparison to the Italian Parmigiano Reggiano. Or the Swiss copy is Sprints, but Felsbrocken, it's called Heggelbacher Felsbrocken. You can show it.
It's right here.
Yes.
It's just a small piece, unfortunately. It is quite a large cheese, though.
It's a 15-kilogram cheese, double size high, like it makes sense for extra hard cheese. And yeah, I think this is our main topic cheese, or our favorite cheese. Yeah.
Okay.
But we also make soft cheese like camembert and others in this kind.
Fantastic. I can see that someone's requested that we put the names of the cheeses in the chat, so I can update that shortly when reviews.
Heggelbach is right, yes.
Yeah.
And we are in really south of Germany. I said it before. We are close to Switzerland and Austria at the Lake of Constance. So from our cheesery, you can see the Swiss and Austrian Alps. And this is also an influence which is in our cheeses. And also we have a green land like this, like it's hilly here. And we're about 200 meters altitude above sea level of the Lake of Constance, which makes this landscape here in southern Germany. I'm telling this because it's a real opposite or comparison to my other partner, who we gonna show afterwards, because I think it's really funny that we are really in the south and Backensholz and Thilo is really in the north. So you got the whole
very different
Germany
terrain.
in two cheeseries.
Yeah. And Stefan, how did you get into cheese making?
Yeah, my route of cheese making is 25 or even 26 years ago. Now I went my first summer on Swiss Alps. I was used to milking cows, and then in Switzerland you go for a job while I was studying in Swiss Alps, and then I realized that milking cows is interesting, but making cheese is much more interesting. And so I went 10 summers only in the summertime making cheese in the southeast of Switzerland in the Alps. And so I went further on. When you got family, you have to find a place to make the whole year cheese, and not only in the summer times. And so we were looking for a place where we can make cheese like in an Alp, but the whole year.
Nice. I was just going to say, I've got some of the cheese here. So if you come to pick and cheese, you can have the Heggelbach Husumer, and we're serving that with I hope I'm going to say this right, a Streuselgebäck biscuit, which is somewhere between like Streuselkuchen. So it's a little bit like somewhere between a cookie and a crumble.
Yes.
Stefan, I just wanted to highlight, you'd sent me some videos which I looked through, which were really interesting. One of the points that I was fascinated by, which maybe this is just my ignorance, I don't know, but you could see on the cheeses behind you, the markings that one of your team were carving it out by hand, very skillfully. I had always imagined that those markings would come from a press or something.
There is both. Like the Altamil, we have a inlay into the forms. We do the cheese is very traditional. We take every cheese out with a towel by hand. Each loaf, what's the term? Each piece of cheese.
Yeah, like truffle.
Each loaf one by one, and then we press it into a form where it gives the cover Altamilch. But the individual signing, like it's the date on the cheese when it's made, we don't write on it, but we cut it into it, and it's a little knife which comes from the restaurants to make citrons and oranges. It's called Ziseliermesser in German, and we write like that the date of the production into the cheeses. And you saw this.
Yeah. It's really cool to see that. If those videos are available on your website or something, I'd highly recommend someone seeking that out.
Especially on Instagram, cool. There is everything on. You can find it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, thank you, Stefan.
Welcome.
We'll say goodbye to you, but we'll welcome you back at the end. If anyone's got any burning questions that they would like to ask any of our panelists, put them in the chat or put them in the Q&A. Probably the better place for them, and we'll bring everyone back and answer all the questions then at the end of toward the end of the session. Okay, thank you. So next up, we have Karina. If you could unmute.
Hi.
Hello. So you run Cheese Berlin.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, together with my dear colleague, Ursula Heinzelmann, and Olivier, my other colleague.
So can you tell us, what is Cheese Berlin? A cheese festival in Berlin, I'm guessing.
You've nailed it already, yes. I think to understand it, we need to talk a little bit about the place where it happens, which is Markthalle 9, who Olivier and I work for. And it's a covered historical market in Kreuzberg in Berlin. It's been here since 1891. And through the years, it had seen many phases. And one of the last of it was that the city sold it. For the first time in Berlin's history, not by highest bid to some kind of investor, but it was by concept. So the concept that until this day we run it with was to bring back in small-scale traders, to have food production on site. We have a butcher here, we have a brewery, we have different bakers. And another part of the concept was to have these cultural and educational formats around food culture. So one of the first employees of Markthalle was very closely related to slow food. And they had been to cheese in Bra. So the idea was to create these markets on a Sunday that are dedicated to one certain food craft and the culture and the community behind it. The first one was around sweets, which we do until this day. It's called Naschmarkt. And the second one, starting in 2012, was cheese. With the same idea, I mean, kind of the slow food kind. Slow food was co-initiator of it. And then for the most part, it's us as Markthalle 9. Ursula Heinzelmann, who's an author and food researcher, came in some years later, and she's our curator until this day. What was the beginning of my sentence? I was trying to tell you. Very long sentence. How it started, 2012. So create a Sunday market dedicated to this certain craft, the craft of cheese, and the whole community around it.
So it's just one day a year, or it's not every Sunday,
basically.
Is it?
No, we do it one day a year. We have a little bit of surrounding program on the Saturday as well, for example. Cheesemakers that come from further away are Friday and Saturday on our farmers market as well. But the core day is definitely the Sunday, where you have, I think this year we have around 35 exhibitors that have stalls where they sell their products, where they meet the people that, finally eat their cheese. We have panels, we have a stage discussing all kinds of topics from very low threshold and popular topics, like talking about is camembert dying out, to the nerdy kinds of niche subjects. We have tastings, we have walks around the market, and it's very popular. Right, the Saturday before, we do a get-together with everyone. So it is also the idea to, of course, connect the public with the producers and all of the experts, but also to create a platform where all of those can meet together. So on Saturday, we do a get-together. We have a really nice cheese buffet. Everyone is bringing a piece of cheese. And we present an award, the Cheese Berlin Award, that we call Window to the Farm. Actually, Stefan and Claudia, with the whole farming community, received it in, was it 2023, Stefan? I think so. And we give it to someone who comes really close to the ideas, to show that it's possible to do it like that. And with the Hofgemeinschaft Heggelbach, what we really, I think what kind of got lost now a little bit in the talk is that they have this really circular system of making the cheese and using everything around it. They don't give any extra fodder. They only feed hay. The cows go out to pasture all year. So we're kind of trying to show, without being too idealistic or dogmatic, show these farms and these dairies that can do it in that way very successfully.
There's a very quick question in the chat that you might be able to answer now from Mary Quick. Hello, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
If you don't know Mary Quick, she's...
I've just visited her like 4 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
I don't see the question though.
She asked, is the program in German?
So it's both. Especially within the last years that we've grown more and more internationally, we tried to have the program half and half English and German. Also the website, now we have a fully functioning website that within the next 2 weeks will show the whole program, all of the exhibitors. This year we've extended it to also showcasing all of the other people that are there, people like Hero, people like Ned Palmer coming this year, like Trevor Wormedal, to really show people there's all of the producers, which is great and fantastic. They have their stalls, but there are so many more people who can tell all of these stories and who can share their skills around cheese. So
Sounds
we're
like a
trying
great
to make it
weekend.
as wholesome as possible.
Yeah, no, it sounds... Yeah, I need to... I haven't been to Berlin before, so I need to...
Well,
I need
November
to come out
9th, I have some advertising here.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
You're more than welcome. Everyone is.
You should come. You should visit.
I should. I need to do a little tour of... Well, actually, that brings me back to the question that I asked Hero at the start, that we deferred to you. And the regionality of German cheese, or not? Like, is there a particular... Like,
I
what
think
is
certainly
German
in
cheese?
one sense, it might be a little bit contradictory. So looking at it historically, you would definitely have just, seeing the geography of like what the landscape looks like and what people made out of it. You had the whole south that is rather mountainous, and what people could extract from that landscape was the pastures. They had the hay. That wasn't necessarily a landscape where you could do agriculture in that sense. So you have a lot of cheeses down there that we would in styles maybe more connect with those Alpine styles that we might also know from Austria or Switzerland. Those borders, we made them up in like cheese styles. They're fairly similar. And then on the other hand, we would have the north with, again, a landscape where it would make sense to have cows transforming that landscape into food. So you have all of these marshes where you could have cows and sheep and all of that roaming and making cheese out of that. So those would be styles that are maybe something like Tilsiter, like washed rinds. Also a lot what Thilo does now, like the Friesisch Blue, those styles would maybe more associated with the northern part. And while the southern part, I think there's proof that cheese making has been existent there since the 12th century.
I was just going to ask, how historic is cheese making in Germany? So in the UK, here I might disagree with this, but I think sort of the birth of what we would consider modern British cheeses sort of come maybe like 16, 17, 1800s ish. Germany?
So, I mean, as I said, in the south, you have proof of it, at least of these more like of farms that had only been having like cows and making cheese out of it to the 12th century. But coming back to the middle part of Germany, for example, and with that connected kind of the Urkäse, the first kind of cheese that would be a German type of cheese, would be the Harzer Käse. Which is closely connected with the production of butter. In those areas, if farmers had a surplus in milk, they would make butter to trade, and from the skimmed milk that they would sour, they would make the Harzer Käse. I don't know if you've had that. Usually they also called Handkäse. They would be very small cheeses that farmers would create by hand. And then something similar would be a Graukäse, for example, a Sura-Käse. It's like
No.
all of these like really kind of ancient sour milk cheeses.
Right.
So that is something that is also made until this day, and mostly in the middle part of Germany. And then I think you have scattered all over Germany just dairies that mostly, so in Germany, industrialization hit quite late in comparison, for example, to the UK, but then it hit very intensely. So with that, on the one side, a lot of those cultures vanished because everything just got industrialized. But at the same time, a counter movement came up, kind of the Lebensreform. You know, that's why we have the biggest market for food. And then skipping a bit forward towards, I think, the 80s, mostly, you had kind of more of a revival of farmhouse cheeses. And then I would say a lot of those dairies just make maybe what they like, what they've experienced somewhere else. Someone like Sabine Jürs from Skellebelle, who's represented at Pick and Cheese as well, makes these like French lactic cheeses that historically certainly haven't existed in Germany. But through this kind of freedom from too much tradition that remained, you could do whatever you want, and it's beautiful.
In your opinion, does the German population know about this?
So, well, we're working on it.
Yeah. So like I get the impression in the UK, everyone seems to be, the general public are quite surprised that the UK produces really good artisanal cheese. It's not just sort of mass-produced industrialized cheese. We have some really fine stuff. Whereas if you sort of go to the opposite end of France, everyone is well aware of the fine cheeses that come from France. So in your opinion, maybe it's too broad a question. Do you think the German population know what they have?
Honestly, I think it's exactly the same. There's very little knowledge about it. There is very little appreciation for it, at least in the general public, without wanting to paint too much of a bad picture around it. But I think that's part of our mission and our vision, why we do Cheese Berlin, because we want to make people see what the benefit of it is, how valuable it is to have. We have in Germany about 2,000, I think, farmhouse dairies that are in the association, basically the German FACE network that Stefan was referring to earlier, which is not little, looking at it. They process around 2% of the total milk production in Germany, which again, then looking at it, seems quite little. But Germany has a lot of great stuff, and more people should know about it. And that's why we continue to do Cheese Berlin. That's why we're super happy that Pick and Cheese are here, and that there is definitely, we're getting somewhere. I think things have happened in the past years, but Germans are so price sensitive. It's really annoying.
And that's why we're doing this now, webinar as well tonight, to spread the word of German cheese. So everyone who's participating right now, please go to Cheese Berlin, go to Pick and Cheese, discover German cheeses. I definitely will be going as soon as I can. Yeah. Well, okay, thank you for that. I think we're going to move on to our next guest now. So I'll say goodbye to you. Hello, Hero.
Hello.
So now we're bringing in our final guest of the evening.
Yes,
Hero,
so, shall I introduce? So this is Thilo, I met Thilo a couple of years ago at a tasting in actually in London.
Yeah.
And so having made that contact a few years ago, was one of the first people that I wanted to speak to about German cheese when this project came along. So Thilo, do you want to like introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Backensholz?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, nice to be here. And yeah, I'm Thilo. I'm belong to Backensholz. Stefan and Karina, they already mentioned it, and Hero, of course. We are an organic farm in the very north of Germany. So we are located close to the Danish border, so which is in the very northern part. We actually have the sea over there, so it's not all Alps. And our farm is in the fourth generation. We are fully organic. It's a family-run farm. So our parents, they transformed to organic in 1998 after the incident of Chernobyl, which really made them rethink things. How do they want to feed their children? How do they want to feed the world as farmers? So there was I think in that period of time, it was more like the pioneer thoughts. I mean, in Germany, you told that, Hero, that we do have a very good structure of organic supermarkets and everything, but of course not in '89, so which we built up over the years. So, and then my mom, she started making cheese in '91, basically in the pot in the kitchen, because she didn't see herself as the wife of the farmer, the classical role model. So she really wanted to do something for herself, and also wanted or saw a chance for us as a family to be independent, like economically, and because like I don't know the system in Britain or but in Germany, basically, if as a farmer, if you sell to the big dairies, the dairies are telling you the price. It's not that you say, okay, this is the price for my milk and take it or leave it. So it's the other way around. So our parents really wanted to get independent, and they saw the chance in the cheese. And the beauty, like my mom, she said, okay, if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it right. I want to make good cheese. I don't want to do, the quick and dirty stuff, like any shortcut. I want to make nature right. I want to do it organic. I want to make raw milk, and I want to do artisanal cheese. And so she started everything, and I'm a cheesemaker now for 10 years, and I run the company together with my brother, and here we are.
Fantastic. So a true family business.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that I think we've touched on it a little bit, that you're right up in the north near the Danish border. Can you just, for those that haven't visited that part of Germany, including myself, can you just describe a little bit what the landscape is like there, and is there like a long history of cheese production there?
I don't think so. Nothing I know. Like it's very flat. We have dikes. We eat shrimps, like fish, like fish buns. We drink a lot, and so it's actually I think it's a very nice region of Germany because it's quite underestimated. A lot of people connect Germany with sauerkraut, bratwurst, and the Oktoberfest, but not so many know that like where I live, it's like 10-20 kilometers to the Baltic Sea and 20 kilometers to the Northern Sea. So it's a very thin part of Germany, which is very it's very maritime. It's more like island. I don't know. It's beautiful. It's not as beautiful as island, but it's people are chilled. It's very flat. We have a lot of agriculture over here. The climate is perfect for dairy cows, and it's always been a dairy region. I would say our cheeses, the culture we have is very little. There's like something like Wildstädter Marschkäse or Butterkäse, which are also awful words. It's like butter cheese. It's already doesn't sound delicious, and it's all connected somehow to the Tilsiter and Esrom. Somehow that's like the cultural heritage I know we have, which comes from the Baltic and from the northern states, which somehow went down to us. And we do make one cheese, which is our interpretation to our cultural heritage. But I think, as Karina said, the beauty in not having like an appellation or like AOP or whatever, like in France and Italy and somewhere else. The beauty not having it, we have freedom and we can do whatever we like. And if we make a cheese, we start with a white paper, you know, and if you decide to be a cheesemaker in Jura, you can only make Comté, you know. It's like it's logical, you know. And I think it's also a chance, and I think that's why German cheese culture, especially the artisanal places, there's a lot of nice stuff going on.
And you make quite a few different styles of cheese there. We're going to focus on the Husumer in a second, but do you want to outline what else is in your in the range?
Yeah, so we do different styles. Also, like the like I told you about the Hofkäse, that's like farm cheese. It's a straight translation. That's somehow connected to the Esrom or to the Tilsiter, to the northern Tilsiter. There's two different types, which is a semi-soft thing. We do have the Alpine styles, which mature from 4 months up to 1.5 years. Like from all the cow's milk, we produce the cow's milk ourselves. They're all raw milk. We do a blue cheese made from cow's milk with the Penezium Rock 40, 3 months, beautiful, Friesisch blue. I'm a big fan of my cheese, of course. We stopped making soft cheeses actually, which is a shame, I know. We do some goat's cheeses, a lot of wash rind. We did with the Geotrichum candidum, so with the white mold. So it's we have up to 15 different styles, from soft to hard, washed, white mold, blue cheese. So it's very diverse.
And the cheese, which is in the Academy of Cheese library, so that the level 3 students have to study, is the Husumer. I hope I've said that right. I was saying it wrong for the first month that we were open.
No worries.
Can you describe that cheese for those that are studying? And
of course. So Husumer is named after the city Husum. And Husum is it's a city in the very north of Germany. It's called the Grey City at the Sea, which is, if you break it down, it's to a writer called Theodor Storm, which is very famous in Germany. So, and I went to school in Husum, and our whole family is connected to Husum. We love Husum. That's our city. It's very beautiful. It's at the sea. It's tiny, but it's very nice. So that's our tribute to Husum, and it's a semi-soft cheese, 400 grams, I would say. It's mesophilic in the basics, and then it's thermophilic for the maturing process. So it's a mixed cheese from the lactic acid bacteria which we use. It matures for 4 weeks, roundabout, wash rind, round, and it's I don't know. It has a very nice acidity. I would say it's buttery. It's more like this kind of breakfast cheese. It is aromatic, but it's not a punch in the face. But it does offer something. But it's very subtle because it plays with acidity and the buttery and the butteriness.
And it's interesting that you mentioned earlier the region being a little bit like Ireland, because it does remind me of quite a lot of the cheeses produced, the washed rind cheeses produced in Ireland, like kind of mild buttery, but like a nice little salty crunch on the rinds.
Yeah, I mean, our cows are on the pasture as well, so they're outside for at least half a year. And I think that's things which you taste. And of course, in the Alpine regions like Stefan, you have the feeding with the hay. We only feed on silage and on like our terroir is a different one to the terroir in the south, and because our region offers different feed and different plants and also the breeds of the cattle We usually use the Holstein Friesen, and I think Stefan is using the Rotbonte. If I'm no, you, no, something else. He shook his head. Yeah. But
and oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
no, no, it's
Okay, so I was just going to say as well that I became just before I met you at the tasting in London, you'd had 2 cheeses placed in the top 16 at the World Cheese Awards, and I think that was probably where I became really aware of what you were doing. Did those awards at the World Cheese Awards have much impact on your business, either in Germany or outside of Germany?
Yeah, so that it was big for me personally as a person, or as for us as a company and family, and for our team. It was a very big reward, of course. You know, being named somebody, like your cheeses being top 16, and 2 at the time, awesome.
Two in the top 16.
Very,
That's a big deal.
Very proud. The impact in Germany was very low, I would I would say, because of course it's a British organization, so the press work, I think it goes more like into the English speaking room. We gave out press documents within Germany, but yeah, it's a tricky thing with the culinary scene sometimes, you know, like the big newspapers, they have other topics, so the culinary topics, they're not always, if you don't pay.
Well, I should say that we've written about it in our menu, and it gets a lot of attention. People will often pick up the die case off the back of just having this little description that it's won this accolade. So it's still doing something.
The logo isn't very well known in Germany, I would say. It's getting more and more. We did get a lot of attention from other countries, especially from Britain. I mean, we met over this, you know, and of course from France, from Poland, from Belgium, from the Netherlands. We did get some customers from it. It's nothing which you know, gets a company in trouble out of the trouble. You know, it is you know, it doesn't have that big of an impact. But for us, it's more like an evaluation of our effort, you know, I would say, because we do put a lot of work into our cheeses. We always making cheese, you're always readjusting. You have something here, you have something there. You have always some issues with cheese, something which you're very proud of, but something what you really want to bring forward. And this whole process of readjusting the whole day, and you know, that's really nice if independent people really know a lot about the industry, and they don't know you, and they tell you, okay, you're doing a very good job, you know. And that's for me as a person, but of course for the team, it's very rewarding, you know, like for the effort you do. And that's the biggest reward for us, you know, knowing that we are on the right path of what we're doing, because yeah, and that really keeps you going, you know, like to say, okay, we've done something right, let's go for it, and we continue to go. And yeah, that's the fun part. And of course, flying to London is on a business trip. It's not the worst thing, you know.
Well, we're coming to the end of the webinar now. We've got just over 5 minutes left. I'm going to bring the other 2 back in, and we'll answer any questions that have come through. If everyone could unmute. We've got one question coming on the Q&A. I think we've already answered it though. Annalise has been asking, I think this is for Hero, how you begin to understand the regions and types, and where do you start with German cheeses? But I think we've answered that. Annalise, if you feel like we haven't, then press us for more. I had a question for you, Karina, actually. Maybe briefly, we might be out of time, but I did want to ask about, on the website, it mentions about endangered cheeses in Germany. And part of the festival is to preserve.
Does it really? It might, yeah. Well, I run the website,
Well,
so I think I should know, but
okay, I might have
it
exposed
would
something
be,
there.
I think it would be hard to really name something in Germany. It's definitely, something like the Handkäse maybe has somehow gotten out of the memory of people, or it's like maybe on the breakfast table of some old people. So it is with certain kinds definitely of something like bringing it back into people's memory and giving them a context to it of how it might be part of our, identity, our habits, our grandparents' habits, or whatever. And it's an expression of that landscape. But there are definitely, we don't consider Cheese Berlin necessarily just a festival around German cheese. I think it's from all kinds of regions, people coming and bringing their stories in the shape of cheese. So there might be some really rare cheeses that are on the brink of extinction that might find some new customers and lovers here. But I guess looking at farmhouse dairies, they're always worth supporting. I don't want to speak about extinction in that in that context, but they are definitely something worth preserving.
Hero, you had a question just then.
Oh yeah, I was just going to jump in on the Handkäse actually, because it is also one of the level 3 cheeses that you have to study. So I had studied it extensively before actually getting to taste it, and we do serve it at Pick and Cheese in the traditional way, which is the Handkäse mit Musik. So it's like a marinated cheese. It has a very distinctive texture. It's like bouncy. And then it's served with like a pickled onion and caraway seed. And it's really, really interesting seeing how people react to this cheese. We have a customer base, which is maybe 50% German, 50% visitors to Berlin. And immediately a German will pick it up and devour it. And with the tourist crowd, it's maybe a little bit more timid and maybe not quite finishing it, but being interested to try it. It's quite divisive, I should say.
Quiet taste.
Yes, but fascinating. And we wouldn't want to do this without it.
Another question's come in from Anu from India, who says that he's from India, or she, and we pretty much have the same scenario, low awareness of artisanal cheese, although it's catching up, and they also have a price sensitivity. How do you think one should go about promoting cheese? I mean, I think we have sort of discussed that already this evening. Hosting things like the festivals and hosting something like this webinar and just getting the word out there, going and buying the cheese and eating the cheese and just spreading the word, I think. Hero, can you add to that?
Perhaps in the vein of what Thilo did, entering the cheese into international cheese competitions so that it gets a wider audience as well and gets people really talking about cheeses from India.
Yeah.
Can I say something to that?
Yes.
I think it's also good to, like, our cheeses are a little bit more prices, but it's great, like in Pick and Cheese, like we do this cheese right into the center, little pieces, and show it's something like normally we know this kind of belt from how you call it, from sushi, from the fish, which is also something expensive, and you put the cheese in there, and so people don't eat that much of cheese, but they really can find out the great flavor of these varieties of these great cheeses we have. So this is our, and that's why I'm also so impressed of this project in Berlin, that in our capital, they put in our artisanal cheeses right into the center and tell them, hey, this is worth it. And it's not an industrial cheese where you have to eat a lot because you don't have any flavor in it.
Yeah, so just keep your eye out for various well, promotional things like this, I guess. Seek out the artisanal cheese. It's there. It's certainly there. Right, I think that's it for tonight. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us and for sharing your wisdom. So Cheese Berlin is the 9th of November.
Exactly, it's a Sunday, and I urge everyone to come on the Saturday evening already. Write me a little mail if you want to come, and you're warmly invited to come to the get-together as well.
And if you're visiting Berlin, don't forget to come to Pick and Cheese and try a lot of those cheeses with unique food pairing. So if you're here, definitely, and you're interested in cheese, you need to be here.
If we got any anyone from the Academy of Cheese who signed up for the courses as well, like the Cheese Berlin and Pick and Cheese has a host of the cheeses that's on our library. So it's a great spot to try out all those cheeses, to taste through them in one go without having to traipse all over Germany. Although that sounds like a lovely thing to do as well. Okay, well, thank you
Fantastic.
all.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for joining.
So let's see at the 9th of November in Berlin. Thilo, are you coming?
Exactly.
I'm not coming, unfortunately.
Thilo,
I know.
you're coming.
It's like a big class meeting. I know, it's like a field trip.
Bring the class.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it again.
I would love to, but I know I can't. Like I have family affairs. It's unfortunate. I would really love to see you all, but promise I'll be there next week. Next
time.
Yeah.
Next time. And Matthew also.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Hero and Karina, I know they're there.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Yeah.